What is going on, YouTube? And welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. Thank you all so much for joining myself and Dustin for this being our review for 90 Day Fiance, Season 12, Episode 12. So a couple things I want y'all to do before we get started. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Press that big white subscribe button. It is free and easy to do. Takes less than a second to mash that thing. So go ahead and mash it for a brother. Also, be sure to leave a thumbs up for this video. Let me know you're enjoying the content I'm putting out on my channel. Be sure to leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the various couples we're discussing on tonight's review. Also, be sure to press the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And last but not least, be sure to share JoJo Speaks with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Let everybody know JoJo Speaks is out here in these YouTube streets. Quick announcement, please be on the lookout for my review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta this week. I will be posting that review out sometime later this week, more than likely, if not tomorrow, before the end of the day on Wednesday, but please be on the lookout for that review. Dustin, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm interested in getting ready in this review. We're getting
Abs-
closer. We're getting closer to the tell-all, so I think it's going to get pretty interesting.
It will. It definitely will. So let's go ahead and get this thing cooking, or as Pheromone said on RuPaul's Drag Race, let's get this roast cooking. But we do have a comment in the comment section. It is Auntie Robin.
Hey, Auntie Robin, how you doing?
She says, "What's up, y'all? What's up, Auntie Robin? Everything is cool over here in my neck of the woods. Hope all is
How's the heat
well."
over there, Jonathan?
It's not that bad. It really hasn't been like a sweltering heat. Right now the temperature
try,
is
try, try 98 degrees. And the heat actually 111.
wow. Yeah, it's 89 degrees and it was raining a little bit earlier, but the rain has stopped. So let's start this thing out with Debbie and Mito. So we're dealing with the aftermath of Debbie leaving the chapel after Mito says, I think it's time for me to go back home. So she's
Mm-hmm.
outside crying and, she's really emotional about this whole thing. Mito comes out, he tries to console her. Then he takes something out of his book bag and it looks like a paper initially, but then we see that it is a ring box. And he gets on his knees and looks like he's about to propose to her. Debbie is still has her back turned to him. She's still
Mm-hmm.
crying. She's telling Mito to go away. Mito comes up behind her. He hugs her from behind. And, he's hugging her, things of that nature. And then he pulls out the ring and he gets down on one knee and he proposes to her. He doesn't ask her initially, will she marry him? But she's, of course, elated. She's excited, whatever the case might
Yeah.
be. She then says, well, say it, I want you to say it. And he says, will you marry me? And she says yes. She says that she's going to kill him. He says that it's very tough to be in a relationship with Mito. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, I was finally entertained by Mito and Debbie. Entertained, okay, mostly because of the pure foolishness of it all. Yeah, Auntie
Mm-hmm.
Robin, I was rolling my eyes the entire time. Now, when Debbie said she wanted him to say it, I
Yeah.
thought that she was meaning that she wanted him to say that he loves her. But I guess because he didn't initially ask her when he was down on his knee, when she first saw him, will you marry me? She
Mm-hmm.
wanted him to say it out of his mouth, will you marry me? Now, my mother did say a little while ago that they were married. I don't know if they are
I don't
married
believe
right
that.
now. I'm not sure if I believe that necessarily still to this day. Um, I was rolling my eyes the entire time that this scene was going on because we're going to completely forget about the fact that Mito called you a bitch, said F you a number of times, but it's all good because he's proposed to me and we're back on the same page now. So it's really hard for me to take Debbie and Mito seriously. Auntie Robin also says, riddle me this. How did Mito come to the US on a fiance visa, but until last night's episode, he never asked to marry her? Yeah, I don't really know the specifics on the different visas. I don't know the difference between a spousal visa, a
A spousal
fiance
visa, you have to
visa.
be a spousal visa. You have to be married before you can come over. On the 90-day fiance visa, you don't have to be married. You gotta go on 90 day, and then you get married after the 90 days.
But I've personally never heard of a fiance visa. So I honestly, I just don't know, Auntie Robin. Auntie Robin also says, I think that most of them are married. Like I said 2 weeks ago, most of them are wearing wedding rings on their ring fingers. Yeah, I really don't pay attention to their fingers like that. So you could be right about that, Auntie Robin. But yeah, I don't take Debbie and Mito seriously in any way, shape, or form because I don't see no authenticity in their relationship. I have no idea why they are together. I don't know what it is that brought them together. I don't know. I have a feeling. I have the biggest feeling that this relationship is simply just for the cameras, because there's absolutely no chemistry between them whatsoever. They don't even seem like friends.
There's never really been any chemistry. So
Oh, okay. And then Auntie Robin says down in the comments, fiance visa equals 90-day fiance visa. Okay, all right. So they have to be at least engaged in order for them to have the fiance visa. Thank you so much for clearing that up, Auntie Robin. So Dustin, were you surprised that that Mito proposed to her? And do
I was
you
really surprised. I didn't expect it. I expected him to say to go back home, but I didn't expect that.
Right. Yeah, I did not expect that either. But we'll just be along for the ride.
Well,
Whether their actual relationship is authentic or not is really, only their business. So, we as viewers, what does our opinion mean? But
what is our
I
opinion? What we care
I
about?
see
We're just
nothing
watching it.
real.
We're just watching it. To be honest.
Right.
You know,
I see nothing real between Debbie and Mito.
yeah.
So I refuse to believe it, unless I see some evidence that could prove otherwise. Auntie Robin also says, I was surprised that Mito didn't crumble when Debbie kissed him. Right. Yeah. I was watching it with my mother not too long ago, and my mom was like, they didn't even kiss. And I had to let her know, actually, they did kiss. They had a little peck on the lips, which I guess, is normal after you propose to someone. You typically kiss your partner after the proposal is done. But I can't take Nito and Debbie seriously at all. I can't. I cannot take them seriously. And Mito said in the confessional that they complete one another. Okay. Anyways, but let's move on to our next couple, which is Josh and Katie. So Josh and Katie are still in California with Katie's parents. They go to a wedding cake shop, or maybe it's just a regular cake shop. And they want to test out a couple of wedding cakes. Now, I don't know why it is that they're visiting a wedding cake type of shop when they have not discussed a wedding in any scene whatsoever this entire season, and we're on episode 12. So
Yeah.
maybe they are a little bit closer to getting married than it necessarily seems like. I don't know. But while they're testing out the cakes, Katie gets a notification about Josh's belongings arriving at their home, or supposedly on its way to arriving at their home in Portland, Oregon. And they can't pick up the stuff. And I'm assuming it's a lot of stuff that Josh has, if he's moving to America for good. So Katie is just very laissez-da, laissez-faire, whatever the saying is about this whole thing. And then when Mito gets upset with Katie about this, and he's like, "This is important. These are my belongings." Like, and Katie's just brushing it off like it's nothing. And she said, I mentioned it to you before and said that we would discuss it later, but you never brought it up. So I just forgot about it. Like, Katie clearly has no care whatsoever for Josh or anyone else besides Katie. So Katie is a very
She never
very
did. She never did really have anything to. I don't like Katie. I don't really like Katie to be honest. But you know, I never
right.
did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't care for Katie either. Katie is a very extremely selfish person, and I just can't get on board with her
Yeah.
whatsoever. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, Josh and Katie's scenes seemed entirely pre-produced. Katie was so flippant, yes, that it seemed unreal. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
let's uh, let's uh, uh,
It's just
let,
weird.
less real. Yeah, less real than anything they've shown us. Yeah, and so that whole thing goes by. Then we get to the next day, and it's Easter. So they have a cute little Easter egg hunt. Josh is the one that finds the golden egg. Josh and Katie have 8 eggs apiece to be able to find. Josh, I guess, wins the Easter egg contest, whatever the case might be. But then Katie's grandparents come over and they're going to have a little bit of dinner. Josh is making a dish that he promised that he was going to make for her parents, and he makes that dish. And, I really do like Katie's grandfather. I love what he says. Um, in this particular episode about Katie, saying that she's a little pushy, she's a little controlling, and she's a lot to deal with. And the subject of religion comes up, and Katie's mother says that she would love for her grandkids to be baptized and be raised in a Lutheran type church. Now, for me, it does not seem like Katie is necessarily religious in any way, shape, or form. She doesn't necessarily talk about her Lutheranism. It doesn't seem like it's a big part of her life, but that's just what she's shown us on the show. Maybe she is a little bit more religious than it comes off as, but to me, it doesn't seem like being a part of the Lutheran Church really doesn't mean much to her. But that's just
Hmm.
the sense that I get from watching her on the show. But Josh says that he's never really been particularly religious in his life, so he doesn't feel any type of way about it one way or another. And then Katie's father asked him, would he consider converting to, I don't know if it's Christianity or Lutheranism. I really don't know what comes about as far as the Lutheran religion is concerned. I have a feeling that is definitely connected to Christianity, because Katie's mother said that he has to accept Jesus as his Lord and Savior. So it's clearly a Christian type of religion. I guess it's just a separate sect of Christianity. But Josh doesn't confirm one way or another whether he would consider converting or not. But that to me says that he's not interested, and he sort of kind of said that he wasn't interested in being Lutheran or anything of that nature. And we really don't get any type of closure as far as whether Katie and Josh, if they do have children, which I hope that they don't, but if they do have children later on down the line, whether they would want to raise their children in the Lutheran church or not. But
Hmm.
Josh is sort of kind of acting like this comes as a surprise to him, which is not surprising to me, because I'm sure that Katie and Josh have not had this conversation, because
Sure.
Katie's priorities don't seem to be in line with what they should be. So
Uh,
it is what it is. We'll get to these two comments from Auntie Robin, and then we'll get to Dustin's thoughts about Katie and Josh. Auntie Robin says, and this whole thing about Lutheranism, the only church we've seen Katie with uh, any fidelity to is the Saint Bard Chug. Yeah, concerning her drinking. Yeah, I see that, Auntie Robin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't read it as clearly as I should have. And then she also says, Gramps asked him to convert to Lutheranism. My question is, convert from what? Yeah, there's really no conversion when you don't really have a religion initially.
you got to
So
have one first in order to convert.
yeah, exactly. So Dustin, what are your thoughts on this whole thing about Josh's stuff getting to Portland and Katie being so flippant, as Auntie Robin said, and then also your thoughts on the whole religious talk at the dinner table?
Well, I think there's too much. I think there's been too much religious talks these two, between at least two couples this season. I think I think there should be. I don't care. I don't. I don't. I yes. I believe in God and all that stuff, but I don't think that there should be talking about all this religion stuff on TV. But that's
Mm,
just my opinion. But
yeah.
I mean, it's like you do what you want to do. It you can figure it out. But I don't know. There's been a lot of back and forth this season, so we'll figure that out. But
Yeah.
I have to continue forward. Yeah. Hmm.
Does it seem like Katie is even a little bit religious? Because to me, it doesn't seem like that at
No, I
all.
don't
Which
feel
is
like it to me.
right. Yeah. Because with me, like, it's okay if you're not religious. And not if that's not your thing. I would hope that you would come to the knowledge of God and who He is and how He affects all of our lives. But if that's your choice
Right.
not to be religious, then that's your choice just not to be religious. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, let's hold our breath for next week's episode, because they ended with Katie pouring herself a glass of wine. I hope she doesn't tongue down the family. Yeah, and then Katie also in the preview for the next episode said that she would like for Josh to consider their relationship to be an open relationship. She's nervous about marrying Josh and him being the last person that she has any sexual activity with, which further lets me know that Katie is not ready to be married in the least bit whatsoever. So we'll see what happens with Katie and Josh later on down the line. Let's move on to Thomas and Paula. So
Yeah,
Thomas and Paula are spending the last day with Thomas's parents in Charlotte, North Carolina. Um, in these scenes with Thomas's parents, it makes me like Paula a lot more. But when Paula is by herself with Thomas, that's when the issues start to arise. So I loved seeing Paula spending time with Thomas's
I do
stepmother.
too. Yeah.
They seem to get along so well. It's so loving and it's so amazing to see their relationship. And Paula wants to clear the air with Thomas's stepmother concerning her pictures that she posted on social media with Thomas's biological mother. And Thomas's stepmother lets us know, she took care of Thomas and his sister, excuse me, after Thomas's biological mother stepped out or left their family. And it further gives me more insight into why Thomas's stepmother feels the way that she feels. Like, if you have a situation where you come into a family where the wife has left, she's completely abandoned the family, and you're putting in the hard work that a mother should do, and then all of a sudden, the biological mother, wants to come back into the picture, you will be resentful in that manner. And I understand that. However, my issue comes in when Thomas wants to willingly pursue a relationship with his biological mother. It's not your position to come in between that. And I don't think that Thomas's stepmother is trying to come in between that necessarily. However, when she voices her opinion on Thomas wanting to have a relationship with his biological mother, I, for one, do not agree with her voicing that opinion. She can feel however she wants to feel about about Thomas's biological mother. She has that right to feel that way, because I would probably feel the same way. I would not want to deal with you. I do not want to see you. I would not want to talk to you. I don't want to have any type of relationship with you after you walked out on our family. Like, there's nothing for us to talk about. There's
Me
nothing for
neither.
us to have a relationship about. However, if Thomas does want to have that relationship, and Paula herself, being Thomas's partner, wants to build a relationship with Thomas's biological mother, they have the right to do that, and you should not want to punish them for reaching out to have that relationship. I really, really doubt at this moment that Thomas's parents, Thomas's father and his stepmother are going to attend the wedding. I have a feeling there are too much bad blood
I don't
between
think
them.
so either.
And it's probably best, because I don't know if Thomas's stepmother will be able to handle herself and keep her emotions under wraps in the presence of Thomas's biological mother. But Paula does apologize for posting the pictures, and Thomas's stepmother, she really does appreciate the apology, and things end well with Thomas and Paula being with Thomas's father and his stepmother, and so I just have to say that I loved seeing them all together and the camaraderie going on between them. Also, Thomas having the conversation with his father of how reliable his father is. He can call him up anytime if he needs anything, and Thomas's father is going to step in and take care of things. I loved seeing that. So things are going great as far as Thomas's father and his stepmother is
Mhm.
concerned. And I just, Paula did say that she wants to take a picture with all of them at their wedding. So I don't think that Paula has a good grasp on the situation completely as of yet. And I don't know if she will ever understand it, because family means so much to Paula. And she probably feels as though they can probably try to work through anything. But Paula just does not understand the depth of negativity that surrounds that whole situation. So, Dustin, what were your thoughts on Thomas and Paula's segment this episode?
Well, I want to say that whoever shows up to the wedding, just cherish it. Whoever shows up, you know, it's sad that they want to take the family's not in the same page, especially when you're in a wedding. But some people are going to show up and some people are not. You know what I mean? So
Right.
whoever shows up, just enjoy it and whoever doesn't show up, so be it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you can't sit there and you can't sit there and drill on it. Life is very short, Johnson. Uh, Life is very short. So as I told the story last week about my best friend that just passed away. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I didn't expect that to happen like that, that quick. So, you know what I mean? It's life is just very short, and
Right. Yeah.
you gotta continue on. You gotta continue on with life, every which way possible. But you gotta continue on with life, and whoever's gonna be there is gonna be there, and whoever's not gonna be there is not gonna be there. That's why I look at things. Jonathan, you're muted.
My bad. Thank you so much for letting me know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we saw in the preview for the next episode that Thomas and Paula are talking about their living arrangement once again, which seems to be a sore spot in their relationship. So, I hope that they're able to work that out because when I see the sweet side of Paula, I sort of kind of fall in love with her personality because she seems to be a very sweet woman, but when it comes to things that she wants to do, she puts her foot down and she's going to do those things, whether the people who are affected by those things like it or not. So it is what it is. I'm sort of kind of on the fence with Paula at this point. I love Thomas though. I love Thomas.
Yeah.
I love his
Well, I'm
personality.
on the fence about some. I'm on the fence about like two or three couples this season. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But I do love Thomas though. I love his personality, and I love that he doesn't get pushed around by Paula because it could be very easy for a man to be pushed around by
Yeah,
Paula. Paula has a very
I get that.
sort of kind of
Mm-hmm.
has an aggressive type of personality, and it could be hard to deal with at times. So,
Yep.
excuse me. We'll see what happens as time goes on. But let's move on to our next couple, who are Maxwell and Aisha.
Oh
So
my God, they're driving me crazy this season.
Aisha's god brother, two of her sisters, and one of her mother's friends are coming over to Nigeria so that she can reveal to them that they are getting married. So they decide to have a dinner by the beach at this restaurant. Now we don't get to see them eat, but we do see two sides of their conversation. We see when they initially get there, and then a little later on it gets darker, and they have the conversation about her getting married. I'm assuming they ate in between, but who knows? But anyway, so of course, Aisha's godbrother is the most skeptical out of all of them. Aisha has a conversation with them before they go to the dinner, and she thinks that her godbrother thinks that and her godbrother's name is Rob.
Yeah,
She thinks that Rob thinks that she's pregnant. He's trying to think of some excuse for Aisha to make this hasty decision to marry Maxwell all of a sudden. So later on in the episode, when Aisha and her clan get to the dinner, everything is very cordial initially. Aisha introduces Maxwell to her family, and then she reveals to them that they are getting married. Now, Aisha's sisters and her mother's friend and Rob, well, of course, Rob already knows, but her sisters and her mother's friend, they're very shocked by this news. They go on to ask her about how many kids they're going to have. They don't really, they do ask, why did you keep this from us? Why did you make such a hasty decision? She said because their previous visa was denied. The person, the immigration lawyer that she spoke to suggested that they go ahead and get married and use a spousal visa as a different option for him to come over to America. Auntie Robin says Aisha is an over the top bully for sure. The loudest one in the group, the self-proclaimed leader, and they follow her. Absolutely. And when Rob was asking Maxwell some questions, Aisha was kind of chiming in on that. And Rob had to tell Aisha, can you let your soon-to-be husband answer the questions? And then Auntie Robin also says this must be a production thing because how do you call from Nigeria and some okay, yeah, and summon folks overseas within days. That too was unrealistic. Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% positive, Auntie Robin, that production paid for Aisha's sisters and her brother, her god brother, and her
Oh, they
mother's
definitely
friend.
paid for his own.
I'm pretty sure that they paid for that travel for them to come over to for them to come over to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Um, but Rob is once again very skeptical. He asked Maxwell, when he gets over to America, what is he going to do for his career or for work? Maxwell said that he buys and resells cars, so I guess he sort of kind of flips cars in a way. And then Aisha chimes in and says, well, his father is an electrician, so his father is training him on how to do electrician type work. And so, they're going to, sort of kind of delve into that as well. Then Rob does something that I feel as though was extremely disrespectful to Maxwell's family. He said that, what I do know about, certain Africans is that, we get a lot of phone calls and, there's a lot of scamming that goes on. And for me, that means to
That
me
was a
that
red
Rob
flag.
is accusing them of actually being scammers. And you never want to do that unless you actually have, because there's been zero evidence whatsoever that Maxwell or his family, for that matter, are any type of scammers. So I did not appreciate the fact that Rob brought that up during this dinner. Auntie Robin says also announcement of a wedding as a surprise tells me that you don't have faith in what you're doing because you weren't straightforward. Yeah, that's definitely true for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was very disrespectful for Rob to accuse
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell's family, even though he didn't necessarily say it outright. For you to bring up that subject in their presence makes me believe that you believe that Maxwell is a scammer. We got Lady Virgo in the building. Hey, Lady Virgo. So glad that
Hey,
you're
Lady
here.
Virgo.
Lady Virgo says, good evening, everyone. Give us some emojis, some hugs and kisses. So sorry I'm so late. I catch the replay. It's okay, Lady Virgo, you are here, and that is all that matters, girl. Love that you're here, my love. Auntie Robin also says, Maxwell says that he knows how to work and and uses his hands, but he doesn't work with his hands now. He flips cars. Yeah, I think that Maxwell was just trying to throw a jab at Rob, because it seems like Rob was sort of kind of undermining Maxwell's potential as far as his work is concerned. So I think that was just this sort of kind of tit for tat type of thing between Rob and Maxwell. But Rob and Maxwell are going to have a conversation on the next episode. Um, I think the issue for me is Rob is seeing Maxwell as the villain in this situation when he should be looking at his god sister, Aisha, who, in my opinion, is the true villain of the situation. Because to me, it seems like he ignores all the things that she's doing and is only assuming that Maxwell is trying to trap or scam Aisha, which I think is so unfair for him to do. Auntie Robin also says, "What type of property are they staying at in Nigeria? Is it an Airbnb or Maxwell's family's property?" Actually, Aisha said a couple of episodes ago that this is a rental, and I'm assuming it's somewhat of an Airbnb. So yeah, this is not Maxwell's family's home. This is an Airbnb type of situation that they're currently dealing with in Lagos, Nigeria. And then Auntie Robin has another comment, and then we'll get to Dustin quickly. Auntie Robin also says, "Good evening to Lady Virgo." So, Dustin, what are your thoughts on the whole dinner with Aisha revealing to her family that they're going to get married?
Why did you keep it a secret? You don't keep something like that a secret. I don't like that. You should be open and honest with people in the beginning. But that's up to her. That ain't up to me. But I wouldn't
Yeah.
like that. I don't like that. Period. Point blank.
Yeah. Typically, you wouldn't keep something like that a secret, although we have seen that in the past before. However, I will say in Aisha's defense that she did make this decision only a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that in order to kind of ramp up their storyline, that she thought it would be a good idea for her just to bring her family over to Nigeria in order to tell them in person that that she's getting married. I'm sure she probably would have told them over the phone immediately after she made the decision if she
Yeah.
were not on a TV show. But because she's on a TV show, they have to amp everything up and make everything a little bit more dramatic for her storyline. So let's make it so that you bring your family over here. We're going to have a scene of you telling your family that you're going to get married and they're going to be pissed about it. You know what I'm saying? So I get that, typically we would tell our family and friends, right away. But for the sake of the show, I feel like they set it up this way for her not to tell them, just wait on telling them, Aisha, and wait till they get over here to Nigeria. We'll fly them over here to Nigeria so that you can tell them in person about a week or two after you make the decision to get married. So I don't think that's necessarily all of Aisha's fault. I have a feeling that production had
That was part of the
something to
production,
do with
probably.
that as
Yeah.
well. But in a regular life, Dustin, we would tell our family and our friends immediately if we decided to get married that we're going to get married. So of
Sure.
course, normally we would immediately unveil that information. Let's move on to Marissa and Edward. So Marissa's in New York. She's working. She's trying on a beautiful wedding gown. I love the wedding gown that Marissa tried on. It looks beautiful. I sort of kind of wish someone else was wearing it. I think it would look much better on someone else. However, the dress itself is beautiful. You can't deny that. One of Marissa's friends is coming over, and then Marissa also says that she's talking to her work wife. And so Marissa is telling them that she told Edward that she was coming up to New York for work, and she's going to
Hmm.
be up there for a couple of days, and she said that she had not texted or called him all day long. And then at the end of the night, without her texting and recalling him, he sent her a text saying good night. And she said that the tone of the text, I don't know how you can tell the tone of words that are on your phone, but she says that the tone of the text seemed very angry. And here's my thing. Hold on. Auntie Robin has another comment down here. She says, I have nothing nice to say about Marissa. I have nothing nice to say about Marissa either, Auntie Robin. So I think we're all in the same boat as far as Marissa is concerned.
Hmm.
And so Marissa's friends and her coworker are encouraging her to not get married to Edward if she's not 100% sure that this is what she wants to do. Marissa said that she's about 75% sure that this is what she wants to do. And I feel like Marissa's friends are right. If you're not 100% in and sure that you want to get married, then you should not be getting married at all. If you have any reservations about getting married, I feel as though that's something telling you that is probably not a good idea for you to get married. And so then a little later on in the episode, Edward texts Marissa and tells her that he needs to have a conversation with her. So Edward comes to New York and he tells her that, before you left for New York, you didn't even hug me. And you know that I love affection. I'm big on affection. I crave affection from my partner. And Edward said that Marissa has been extremely cold to him. Marissa really doesn't have much of a retort for that. Her response to it was, "I'm not even sure if I still want if this is going to work out. I don't know if we're going to work out." And that she tells Edward, that I'm not the affectionate type, and Edward says he demands affection, he demands the respect that he's looking for. For me, Edward has done zero wrong in this relationship as far as I've seen as a viewer. And for me personally, the best outcome for Marissa and Edward's situation is Edward dumping Marissa. That's what I
Me
want to
too.
see happen at the end of this day. It's clear that Marissa and Edward are not going to work out, at least in my opinion. I think Marissa, this entire season, has told us nothing but her reservations about getting married to Edward, and all the things that she does not appreciate about Edward, the fact that he's not doing things proactively, that he's not doing things that she wants him to do the way that she wants him to do it. Like they just need to be done. Dustin, any thoughts on Edward and Marissa's segment this episode?
Break it off.
Right.
Break
And
it
I
off.
think all that needs
That's
to be
that's
said.
all I got to say. Break it off. Break it off. I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm done with this couple. Break it off.
I agree wholeheartedly. Auntie Robin says, I'm glad that Edward spoke up for himself. I'm so happy for that too. My mom said the same thing, Auntie Robin. That still doesn't change the fact that she treats him worse than dog crap for sure. On camera, for that matter, I couldn't live with that. TV edits or not, exactly. Can't nobody blame it on the edit as far as Marissa is concerned.
Nobody
She
should have to
just
be treated like that either.
right. No one deserves to be treated like that at all. And the thing is, like, at least the bright side to that fact is that Marissa acknowledges the fact that she has not treated Edward in the best way possible the entire time that he's been in America. So it would be even worse for me if she couldn't, if she was just completely um, disregarding the fact that she's treating him like shit. At least she knows it. And we'll see what happens as time goes on. But let's move on to our final couple, which is Mallory
Yeah.
and Rosh. So Mallory goes to try on a couple of wedding dresses. The first wedding dress I saw Mallory try on, I loved it. Initially, I thought it was too plain because there wasn't much design with the exception of the bustier, and the rest of the dress was just kind of regular. But I loved the bustier so much. I hadn't seen a design like that on a wedding dress before. I loved that bustier. The second dress with the pearls on the arms, I did not like the way that the flowers looked on the dress. It looked a little cheap to me, so I didn't necessarily like that. But that's besides the point. Mallory tells her she's going wedding dress shopping with two of her best friends. And so
Mhm.
she reveals to her friends, and before I say that, Auntie Robin says, yes, I love dress number one. Yeah, I love dress number one too, Auntie Robin. Much better than the second dress she tried on. So Mallory reveals to her friends that she has not told Ross as of yet that she does not feel as though she's interested in having children. This is a big issue because you mean to tell me, Mallory, and here's my thing. I have to say this about Mallory before I go in on her.
Yeah.
Mallory has honestly been my favorite female participant of 90 Day Fiance of all time. I love Mallory so much. Mallory she seems to be very level headed. She doesn't seem to be conceited. She seems to be like a normal person because here on 90 Day Fiance, it's been my experience that we don't see normal people on this show. So Mallory seems to be like the most normal type person on this show. She makes very wise decisions. She seems to be extremely mature for her age. She and Rosh are both 29 years old. And so she seems to make the best decisions for her life. And so I appreciate that for her. However, with her being in a relationship with Rosh for 2 years, he's made it all the way over to America now. I don't know if this type of conversation has been left specifically just for the cameras alone. And they haven't discussed this because they knew they were going to be on 90 Day Fiance, and this will be a juicy topic for them to have on camera. So I hope that this is just for the camera, and I hope that they've already had this conversation outside of the camera's eyes. Because if that is not the case, then that would lead me to be very disappointed in Mallory for her not discussing this with Rosh previously. Now, I will say though that there are a lot of times when people get in relationships and there are deal breakers that are not discussed because the couple just wants to live in happily married or relationship bliss, and they don't want to have the tough conversations. They'll just leave those on the back burner or sweep it under the rug, and just live in the moment. But these questions about marriage, questions about kids, questions about finances, these are the types of important conversations that we need to have early on in the relationship to get that all out of the way. Are you interested in getting married? Are you interested in having children? Like these are initial conversations that need to be had before the relationship is even placed in stone. We need to know where we stand on these types of topics before we even think about even being in a relationship, much less walking down the aisle. Auntie
Right.
Robin says Mallory committed the same crime. How did she wait until now to broach the subject of children? Of children, really damn ridiculous. Absolutely, it's very ridiculous. I was so disappointed in Mallory for this particular development. I expect so much more from Mallory. So that's the reason why I'm just going to assume that this is only done for the cameras, for them to have a little bit more drama. Now that the whole Brandon situation is out of the way, what other type of drama can we kind of drum up for Mallory and Raj? So that's the only thing that makes the most sense to me. So Mallory and Raj have a sit down on the porch while they're drinking sweet tea out of these small little glasses. I've never seen someone drink sweet tea out of a small little glass like that. For me, when it comes to my sweet tea, I want the jumbo cup. But anyway, so Mallory brings up the subject of not wanting to have children with Raj. And the reason why Mallory is not interested in having children is because of the experience she had growing up with her parents getting divorced, her father leaving her at the age of 9 or 10 or so, her mother bringing different men into the house all times of night, things of that nature. She doesn't want to turn into her mother. She doesn't want her children to have the same experience that she had. So she just does not want to bring children into the world whatsoever. Having children for Raj is very important. He has 8 different siblings. He has over 10 nieces and nephews. So big families are a big thing in their family. So Ross does not take this well. And he tells Mallory, maybe you might change your mind, a couple of years down the line. And Mallory's like, well, what if I don't change my mind? And Ross actually, at the end of the day, ends up walking away from the conversation. So once again, I hope that this is a conversation that was only left for the cameras. And I hope that behind the scenes, they've already figured this thing out and they're just doing this for the camera because they really don't have any other drama in their relationship. So, Dustin, what are your thoughts on the fact that Mallory waited so long to have this conversation and also Rosh's reaction to the conversation?
I don't like it, Jonathan.
I don't like it either.
Why would you wait? They've been together for 2 years and a half, or 2 years, I should say, 2 years in general. Why would you wait for that big of a thing to say that you don't want kids? That should be the first thing you say, in my opinion. That should be one of the first things you say in a relationship is you don't want kids.
I
And
agree.
I'm sorry if anybody does not agree with it. That's just my opinion. But I know that Jonathan agrees with it. But I hope that everybody else understands where I'm coming from with this. Uh, Especially if you are getting married to somebody or in the process to getting married to somebody. That is very very not good in my book. I hope that you realize what you did, Mallory, and I think that this might be a cutoff point for Raj. Um, I don't think they're going to get married. I'm supporting them for whatever they do. I really am, but I don't think it's going to happen, Jonathan. I hate to say that. I don't like to say that, but I kind of get the feeling that it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, for me, Raj and Mallory seem to be the most genuine and authentic relationship on this season of 90 Day Fiance. So, as I stated before, Justin started speaking. I hope that this was just done for the cameras and not an actual issue in their
I
relationship.
hope as
But
well. I hope as well. But like I always say, during time, I always hope for the best, but I also prepare for the worst.
right, and that's what we have to do watching 90 Day Fiance. So
Yeah.
that's all we've got for this review, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Dustin, why don't you share with the good people your social media contacts real quick?
My social media contacts are Dustin Butler 700 on Instagram. My Facebook is Dustin Butler. My TikTok is Dustin Butler 24. As always, I want to thank my whole entire team for being here, and I love y'all very much.
Love you too, Dustin. You guys can follow
I
me on
can't believe
Instagram.
I can't believe next week is going to be episode 13 of the season already. It seems
Right,
like it just seems like we just started this, but here we are on episode 13 next week, and it's
right.
flying by.
Yeah,
And mhm.
it definitely is. I'm just ready to get this tell all. To be honest,
Yes,
at this
and I'm
point.
also excited to move on to the new show. You know, I'm excited to move on what's gonna take its place.
Yeah,
You
for
know what I mean?
sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So,
You guys can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Jojo underscore speaks 3020. My Facebook is Jonathan Lee. My email is WilliamJonathanLee at gmail.com. My Cash App is dollar sign Jonathan Lee oh 07. That's dollar sign JONATHANLEE 07. If you guys would like to donate to my platform, I'll take all the help I can get. I love you guys for watching. Be sure to join me every
yes,
Thursday
we
night.
will. we will take as a team. We will take all the help we can get to improve Jonathan's setup and to improve the whole StreamYard thing. Process is not this process is not free. We don't okay. We got to pay for the StreamYard stuff and we got to pay for everything else. So we take everything we can. We take all the help we can get. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much for that, Dustin. Be sure
Yeah.
you guys join us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my live Hot Topics and Social Commentary show. I go live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. with my sister Prophetic Fire Reiki, as well as our friend Bianca Edwards. We always have an amazing time talking about the latest happenings and goings on in the world. So please join us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Thanks so much for watching this video and joining us live. Thank you so much, Auntie Robin and Lady Virgo, for being in the comments. I love you ladies so much. My favorite part of doing my videos is reading the comments, you guys. So
Yes.
thank you guys so much.
To be here with you. My favorite part of Monday is to be here with you all, and part of my week is to be here with you all, especially to be here with Jonathan and be here with Tyrone on Wednesdays. Unfortunately, we don't have a show on Wednesday, but we will be back the next week after that.
Absolutely. So please be sure to join myself and Dustin next week for our review on episode 13. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you all have a safe week. We'll see you on the